Right, hello, lads and lasses, and welcome back to Boys Down Under, and it is Derby week. We are heading into the start of the Derby Day week build-up. The tensions are rising. It's make or break for Rangers, and Celtic know that all too well. And you know what? Seeing as we're in the international break, and seeing as there's literally nothing else to talk about, why not hype up this match with a bit of, Derby week content? But before we go any further, please remember to like the video and please consider subscribing to the channel. It helps support the channel, helps support me, so I'm very appreciative for all of you guys who do click that subscribe button. But without further ado, let's get into it. So, the top 5 derbies I've seen live. Now, we've got to clarify some things here. By live, I mean that I am watching as the game is happening on telly, because obviously I live on the other side of the world and going to games is impossible for me right now. But now, secondly, due to the death of Rangers Football Club in 2012, the next derby wasn't played until 2015, so there was a 3-year hiatus there. But 3 years was enough for my dad to let me sit up and watch the games, mainly because I could actually understand what was going on at the age of 11. But in saying that, there are so many great derbies that have happened in the past. Not to mention the demolition, the original derby demolition in the 2000s. Celtic winning in injury time through Jan Vennegoor of Hesseling. Some incredible games. But those are all games that I wasn't. I didn't watch. I've only seen the highlights of it. I've seen past replays of it, but I haven't actually. I wasn't alive for the derby in the demolition in 2000, but I wasn't old enough to watch the Jan Vennegoor of Hesseling match. There's a number of more games, and that's a whole nother list for themselves. But what we're going to focus on today is the ones I've seen live, and purely because I'm able to give you guys a pretty accurate list, and this is all, as a disclaimer, purely taken from me because it's the games I've seen and not some, website try to get a couple clicks and likes prior to the match. Anyways, so these are the top 5 derbies I've seen live. And number 5 on the list for me is certainly a favourite of mine. Well, that's a no-brainer because all the games are going to be a favourite of mine. But anyways, Celtic 2, Rangers 1, 31st of March 2019. James E. Forrest to the rescue in the 86th minute, and it wasn't even just the late winner that day that made this game so memorable. It moved Celtic 13 points clear. The first goal by Odsonne Edouard was absolutely immaculate, turning every defender inside out and then powering it past the goalkeeper. But the best part of that whole match would have to be good old Alfredo's red card after elbowing Bruni in the face when the ball was literally 50 metres away. It was seen by the assistant. He flagged. He told, I believe it was Bobby Madden, the referee, and that was a straight red card. It sent Alfredo packing. What a moment. Love seeing that happen. Can never get hold of it. But, even though that was just that was only one thing in that match that made that game so memorable. Even though Forrest winner was a great piece of play by Odsonne Edouard, and the goal did send a Category 5 earthquake through Glasgow. Ryan Kent infamously, punched Bruni in the face before the restart of the play. He didn't get sent off, which was shambolic. Christopher Ayer, goal line tackle to deny Rangers an even late equaliser. And then the cherry on top, the whipped cream cherry on top, the piece of pie at the end. It came after the final whistle. Andy Halliday got sent off. How good was that? That just capped off what was a great performance from Celtic. 2-1 win, sent 13 points clear, basically the league over at that point. How do you do? Love to see it. That was number 5. And moving on, number 4 is actually the most recent derby to have been played, because this was all about Celtic. It was make or break for Celtic this match. If we had dwindled the gap down to 2 points, a win would see us go top of the table for the first time in 787 days, and it'll be the first derby win in over 2 years. And right from the beginning, the pyro, the tifo, the lights, the atmosphere, it was all incredible. It was all shaping up to be a memorable night for a lot of fans, including myself, who was watching it at the crack of dawn. And thanks to one of the most impressive derby performances I have seen live in Rio Atate, Celtic went out 3-0 winners. Rio grabbed 2 of them, incredible goals, and he assisted Leo Labata to get the 3rd. We went top of the league. Everything came together, and I felt nothing but pure joy, pure happiness. It was a magical, magical feeling, and it's a game that I will not forget, nor will any Celtic fan forget for a long time, or any time at all for that matter. And it could prove to be one of the most crucial derbies of the year. You know, if depending on how the results go in the last 2 or last 3, considering we have one in the cup now, but still, it was an incredible match. That has to top the lot. That was the reception it got down here in Australia made it even better. Number 4 has to be that match. Moving in to number 3, and we have got the first demolition derby after Rangers' return. You guys all know which match I'm talking about. Celtic 5, Rangers 1 at Celtic Park. This game is purely number 3 on the list because of how memorable it is to me. It was my first ever Glasgow derby I got to watch, and coincidentally, it was the first league derby after Rangers' death. Lee Griffiths was out, I remember that much, and Rangers fans hilariously thought they had a chance, but what they weren't expecting was the rookie sensation from France, Moussa Dembele, a perfect hat-trick and an utterly magnificent performance from the Frenchman. I would put Moussa Dembele's performance in that match the second best Glasgow derby performance I've ever seen live. You know, and it was a day to remember for Celtic fans everywhere. Super Stu, Scott Sinclair, they both got on the score sheet as well. Rangers had a man sent off, and you know, that is never a bad thing. You know, you can't complain when Rangers get a man sent off. It's the best thing ever. And I saw a comment recently somewhere, I think it was a video that included the match or something. I can't remember too well, but the comment said this match marked the end of Joey Barton, and how right that man was. That was the worst performance ever from Joey Barton, but it was also the best performance ever from Celtic, and 5-1 win. How do you do? How do you like it? That was a great day for me because, like I said earlier, that was the first ever derby I'd ever seen live, and I will never forget it. Never. That was amazing for me. Now, coming in at number 2, and this match was absolutely jam-packed full of emotions. This is probably one of the best derbies in recent times for neutral fans, and because it had everything. It was absolutely jam-packed full of emotions, and it was a crucial match because if Rangers won that match, the gap would close down to 3, but if Celtic won, it would increase to 9. And it looked like it was going to decrease to 3 very early on as Rangers went 1-0 up within 3 minutes. But the Wizard of Oz had one of his purely magical moments, equalising from 25 yards out, curling the ball into the back of the net, making it 1-1. But Celtic were caught sleeping again defensively, going down in the 25th minute. And you just thought, oh, this isn't our day. Or certainly I did. I didn't think this match was going to fall favourably for Celtic at all. But then an absolute peach of a pass from Scott Brown from his own half on the stroke of half-time found our top boy, Moussa Dembele, doing everything right to find the back of the net. His first touch, immaculate. His second touch, immaculate. His finish, immaculate. He put the ball into the back of the net. 2-0 going into the break. And the second half begins. Willie Collum doing everything in his power to help Rangers get the win, sending Jozo Simonovic off for such a weak challenge. There's nothing Jozo could do, seriously. Anyways, but then came the introduction of an absolute superstar, of someone everyone would want to be. 68 minutes gone, McGregor, he finds Dembele, who finds his fellow countryman. But how old was he then? He was like 19 years old then. The odds-on Edouard, loan deadline day signing from PSG, cementing his place in every single heart of every single Celtic fan out there. He also had a decent career afterwards, which, helped reinforce that. But he sent Celtic 3-2 up with some incredible footwork and a world-class finish with 70 minutes gone. But the game wasn't over. Despite Celtic coming back from being down twice in a row, then taking the lead, the game nearly fell on its head. You know, and the reason that puts this game so high and makes this game so much sweeter is down to everyone's favourite, Alfredo Morelos. Scott Bain in net, makes a great save, albeit the save, he parries it away from goal, but straight into the path of Alfredo Morelos, who, with an open net in front of him, 1 metre out from the goal line, as calmly as you liked, hits the post and finds a scrambling Scott Bain's hands, who just falls on it. It was utter disbelief from me that someone could be throwing that hard. 1 metre out, an open net. He hits the post. Incredible stuff. Incredible stuff from Alfredo. And it just made it so sweet. And it still isn't going to be the last time Alfredo's mentioned in this video. But, you know, that was such a memorable derby for me. That was one of the best derbies. It's the second best derby I've seen live. But look, the final one. And I think number one spot. I think everyone knows which derby this is going to be. I don't think there can be any doubts about this. You know, I'm sure all of you have a lot of different lists, but this one I think surely has to top the lot in terms of recent derbies. The League Cup final. No, scratch that. That League Cup final, which no Celtic fan will ever forget. The match where Rangers absolutely dominated Celtic. Everything was going their way. They dominated Celtic. Literally, I'm not afraid to admit it. I'm not going to sit here and say Rangers got lucky, because they absolutely dominated us. Everything was going their way, but what they didn't expect was the one thing Celtic had up their sleeve the whole time. La Gran Muralla. And arguably his second best ever performance in a Celtic jersey. Because nothing will top that night in Barcelona. Nothing will. But everything about that match was amazing from Fraser Forster. It was a 10 out of 10 performance from him. 7 saves. And on top of that, 3 other huge plays which won't go down as saves, but will go down as goal-saving plays. And not to mention, 1 save topped the lot. After Julien's goal put me into an absolute state of shock, disbelief, and hysterics that Celtic found themselves 1-0 up in this match. I got sent into a state of oh my days when Jeremy Frimpong got set off and gave away a penalty when there wasn't even that long to go. I think it was 15 minutes left, and Frimpong almost cost Celtic the game. But lining up to take the kick was good old Alfredo, who at that point in that match had missed maybe 3 or 4 sitters, I'd say, or Fraser Forster saved 3 or 4 sitters. And anyone, I thought to myself, and so did my dad, anyone but him, anyone but Alfredo and his shitbox haircut, but up he steps. I can't bear to watch at this point, but I do anyways, and bang! Fraser Forster goes the right way, saves the day for like the 100th time in that game. It was absolute pandemonium at Hampton. And not to mention, Scott Arfield should have been sent off 30 seconds later for what is one of the worst tackles I've ever seen that hasn't been given as a red card. But Celtic won the match 1-0 and is still the best Glasgow derby I have ever seen live. I'm not even going to talk about Mikey Johnston missing the sitter to make it 2. I'm not going to talk about every single individual save from Fraser Forster, but that derby goes down in history as I still can't get over the emotions I had watching that. That tops a lot, without a doubt. But that is all from me. So remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave in the comments below your favourite Glasgow derby you've ever seen live. It doesn't have to be at the game, it can be on the telly, and it doesn't have to be since 2015. It's just, that's just what I did for this video, because it's when I actually started watching them, when my dad let me. But leave that in the comments below, and until next time, we'll keep the theme going, I think, this week, unless there's some huge news to talk about. Keep the derby theme going, but until next time, hail, hail.